Welcome everyone to this class on using Street View on Google Earth and Google Maps. My name is John Pace and I'm pleased to be here to try to explain to you many features of these two wonderful applications and how they might help you a little bit in family history. So let's proceed. Let me say first of all, I have created a PowerPoint, which I'm going to start with and go through a bit. It'll give you some written dialogue to help you know some of the things that I talk about. But my main intent is that as we get down later into the PowerPoint, I'm going to go off of that and go live on Google Earth and Google Maps on the internet and try to demonstrate for you how these things work and the value they can be to you. So let's proceed. For those who don't know what Street View is and what I'm referring to, let me give you a very basic definition. Street View is a feature found on 5 different Google applications that allows you to roam the streets and country roads and highways and even trails and view inside buildings all around the world and see images on both sides of the street, even inside of a building with a 360-degree view or a panoramic view. It gets you on the ground level, the street level, not up in the air of a map or a satellite view, but on the ground. And that's the amazing thing about it. And so why would we want to use Street View for family history? Well, for me, not ever having been in Europe, where many of my ancestors came from, I can go there to their villages and their cities and even view inside their churches and other buildings where they may have lived and where they did live actually, and be there in person as if I was touring the place or visiting there. You can look for homes, land parcels, farms, buildings of the ancestors that may still exist today. I mentioned there's 5 Google applications that feature Street View, and here they are. There's the 5. There's Google Maps app and the Google Earth map. They're both available on mobile devices, both Android and iOS. And then there's the websites, Google Earth website and Google Maps website. You access those from your computer on the internet. There's the addresses to access them. You can go to googleearth.com, or excuse me, google.com/earth or google.com/maps, or you can go to maps.google.com, or you can go to earth.google.com. There's different ways to access them. Just searching on Chrome at Google Earth or Google Maps will get you to the place you want to be probably, and you can find it easily. And then last of all, there's the Google Earth Pro software download that can go on your computer. And there's the address of how you can access it. All 5 of these versions are free. There's no login, there's no password needed, no fee. And they all employ the Street View feature. Now in this review, I'm not going to talk about the Pro version or the apps on the mobile devices. And here's why. I'll tell you some of the differences of these 5 Google versions. The Google Maps and Google Earth website versions have more functions than the apps on the mobile device. And the Street View version in Pro and Google Earth Pro is really similar to the versions of the website version. So there's no need to go to it. It's pretty much the same. But I'd like to explain that Google Earth Pro is really a level up from Google Earth and Google Maps. It has more features. It can be used for professional purposes to analyze, capture geographical data, draw polygons, download map overlays, download historical maps as overlays, and view historical satellite images. And you know, I can with Google Map Earth Pro, I can even determine the square footage of my lawn, the square footage of my lot. It's more sophisticated, but we're not going to talk about that. I should mention, though, that if you're interested, in 2 weeks on Sunday, a Sunday class like this one, Nikki Smith is going to talk about Google Earth Pro and many of its special features that especially might help you with family history. So you'll want to look at that in 2 weeks. Now, the mobile devices, the apps on the iPhone and the iPad, which I have, they're wonderful. I love them a lot. They don't have quite the same number of features as the websites, which I'm going to talk about today. But heck, if I'm watching a movie with my wife or a show and I think it's really boring, I just love to pull out my iPhone or get my iPad and go to Google Maps or Google Earth and explore the world in many different ways. It's wonderful. So now what I want to do is just compare the 2 websites, the Google Earth, Google Maps website, to show you some of the differences. We'll do this in writing first, verbally, I mean, here on the screen. Let me just say that these are 2 completely separate web applications, but they're really made with the same purpose in mind, and that's to explore the globe. However, they are distinctive services and they have differences. I've wondered why they're not merged together. Maybe someday that will happen. That would be wonderful, I think, if they do. But the reason why they're separate is that they were created by different companies. And Google Earth came in existence 4 years before Google Maps did. And it happened about, 15, maybe a little less than 20 years ago. But both Maps and Earth are now owned by Google, and they continue to develop them. So what we're going to do now is just go through the comparison of some of the features on both Earth and Maps, the websites, that is, and I'll show you the differences. And then I'm going to demonstrate for you live how these things work. First of all, in regard to navigation, now this is the forte of Google Maps. It's designed to be the navigational utility for people. It gives you the turn-by-turn directions, the traffic updates, schedules for public transportation, and you can easily print a map. You probably use this on your phone a lot, or many people do, and maybe in your car, on your infotainment center, on your navigation screen in your car. And then there's Google Earth. Now, Google Earth cannot navigate you to a place. It will take you there and it'll show you with photos and images and educate you about the place, but it's not meant to be a navigational utility. Now let's look at the different views between these 2 websites. In Google Maps, there's 5 views. There's the default map view, which most people know. There's a terrain view with contour lines. It's kind of like a topographical map. And then there's the 2-dimensional satellite view and a 3-dimensional satellite view. And then there's street view. And in these, there's also overlays of traffic patterns, transit routes, and bike paths that you can bring up, even COVID-19 instructions and information. I didn't put that on there, but those are all possibilities on Google Maps. Now, Google Earth has 3 views. It has the 2-dimensional satellite view and the 3D, or the 3-dimensional satellite view and street view. Now let's look at street view in regard to these 2. In Google Maps, the street view, I believe, is a little faster. And the thing I like about it in its street view is that it has a little inset view of a street map. It down in the lower left corner, and I'll show you this coming up here pretty soon. It has a little street map in the corner that will show you where you are on the map as you go exploring and navigating down the streets. And that map can be expanded to cover the whole bottom of the screen. Now, Google Earth Street View won't do that, but you can select different map styles and that you can have different levels of details in the viewing area. Now, virtual exploration with these two websites and Google Maps, there's an Explorer bar over in the bottom right-hand corner. That will give you a set of photos and notable locations and sites near your current location on the map. And there's also place marks, which if you click on will bring up photos and info. Google Earth goes even a little further. It'll bring up a knowledge card. It's a little window that pops up when you go to a certain location. If you click on it, it'll give you info photos of that place or whatever it is, a place or a building or whatever. It has a Voyager feature that allows you to explore many interesting photos and story tours of places on Earth. And then you can, over in the left-hand panel, you'll be able to switch on photos if you want, and it'll bring up numerous, dozens, even thousands of little photo circles. And if you click on one of those, you'll get photos that have been taken by the public. And there's thousands of these photo sets from all over the world. And Google Earth also has place marks, which if you click them on, will bring up more photos and info. Now, in regards to these two websites, you can actually view satellite images or views of other planets on Google Maps, even the moon and moons of other planets. You have to zoom out to the maximum of the view of the Earth, and then in the left-hand corner, they'll show up. If they don't show up, then you need to click off your location. I'm not going to give you a lot of detail on that because that's not the purpose of what we're trying to do today. Google Earth does not do that. Now, in regard to elevation above sea level, that is, and location coordinates, Google Maps, in order to view elevation, you have to use the terrain map and look at the contour lines. Location coordinates are displayed when you click on a pin on the map. This is where Google Earth website excels, I think. I love this because in Google Earth, all you got to do is point your little pointer, your cursor on the globe, and down on the bottom margin of the screen, you'll instantly see the elevation above sea level and the location coordinates of where you're pointing at. Now, in regards to these two in measuring distances and area, Google Maps, you can measure distances and they're quite accurate. You can do the same in Google Earth and also area. And Google Earth Pro goes even further. You can measure not only distances and area, but also polygons and circles and distance of paths and so forth. Photo projects. In Google Maps, you can't do photo projects, but in Google Earth, you can. You can do photo projects for presentations and also in Google Earth Pro. Now, in regard to historical imagery, in Google Maps, there's a little bit of historical imagery available, but it's only in Street View, and it doesn't have places all over the world where this can be done. For example, looking at my own house on Street View in Google Maps, I can see two different images. I can see one taken in 2007 and another one taken in 2012. 2012 was the last image they took of my house on Street View. Now in Google Earth, you can't do that. In Google Earth Pro, you can get historical satellite imagery. And I can see my neighborhood and what my house looked like and my neighborhood before my house was built, going back to when satellite images were first taken. There's probably a dozen or more satellite images of my neighborhood that I can look at. Okay, here's a little explanation, and I'm not going to go into this. I'm just going to let you know it's here on the screen because this is being recorded. If you need to, you can go look at it if you need a written explanation of how to activate Street View and how to look around in Street View. There's an explanation right there. And how to move around in Street View, there's an explanation. But I'm going to talk to you now live on, so we go through the website, and you'll probably get even a better understanding if I do that. So first of all, what I want to do is I'm going to go out of this PowerPoint. We're going to start with the BYU campus library, and I'm going to go down to I'm going to go out of this, and I'm going to bring up my browser. And here I'm going to go to my web page here, and over here, and you see in the upper right hand corner, I got these bookmarked. I'm going to go to Google Earth. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Google Earth first, the Google Earth website, and take a look at it, see what it does, and then I'm going to go to Google Maps and look for some things through it, and you see the differences. So this is what it's like when you bring up Google Earth website. Once you find it, you launch it, this is what happens. And this is what pops up. Let me move this screen right here up a little bit and get out of the way. Look down here. I'm going to reduce it a little bit. Now take a look here on the world globe. We're looking at the United States. See down here in the lower right-hand corner, see all these little features down here. You see the plus and the minus.
Page.
Yes.
We're not seeing that. We're just seeing your PowerPoint in the BYU campus.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's because I haven't shared my screen on this, right?
Yep, you have to switch to be able to see that.
Okay, so what do I do? Stop my share and go do sharing again, or what?
Or you can minimize your PowerPoint and just pull it down a little bit so that you can
Okay, let's
see
see
the.
How's that?
Didn't minimize it, so you might need to stop sharing and pick up the one that you want to share.
Okay. That's the problem. Okay. Now, do I need to start sharing?
As if you have it so that you can say the Google Earth, the browser, yes, then start sharing with it and click on the one that has the browser on it.
Okay, let me see where can't find my sharing spot here. Yeah. Oh, just a minute. Let me expand this a little bit. That might be the problem. There we are. Okay. How's that?
Awesome.
Okay. Very well. So maybe I won't go back to the PowerPoint. Probably don't need to. Well, let's just start exploring the globe in different places. So now we're in Google Earth, okay? Not Google Maps. We're in Google Earth. And here's what happens when I launch it. It brings up the Earth, as you can see. Now look down in the lower right-hand corner, and you'll see down here, you'll see some buttons to push. There's the plus and the minus, plus and the minus. These zoom in and zoom out. You can use those. I don't use those. I use the roller on my mouse, usually, like that. Or if I have a touch screen, I use my fingers sometimes. And as you zoom in, there's more detail. As you zoom out, it gets less. Now notice this little button over here in the lower right-hand corner. It looks like a target. I'm going to hit that because that will fly me to my location. It's already knows my location. It's going to take me down into the state of Utah and into the city of Orem, and there's my neighborhood. my street in fact. Okay. Now, the first thing I want to do is look at the BYU campus. So I'm going to go over here on the left-hand panel, over here, see where my upper right, there's the search icon, bring it out. There I can search. I'm going to hit, just type in BYU, and then it'll bring up what I want, BYU Provo. And it'll fly me over there. Google Earth likes to fly. Unlike maps, maps will just zoom you there immediately. But you can change that in settings if you don't like this, but I like it. I like to fly over and let it circle around my spot. So here's the campus of Brigham Young University. Now notice right over here in the right-hand side, this is a knowledge card. If I click on that knowledge card, either a photo or whatever on it, I can get a set of photos of Brigham Young University. If I double click on this, I can expand it. And here I can see 20 photos. Look in the upper right-hand corner, you see it has 1 through 20. I can just see all kinds of views of the campus at Brigham Young University. And if I want to get out of this, just go up in the left-hand corner and click on the back button. Then do it again right here. And here we are back up in the air overlooking Brigham Young University. I'm going to click off the knowledge card up here by clicking the X on the card. And then it shows me the two-dimensional view directly overhead. Okay, if I want to do three-dimensional view again, look down here in the lower left-hand corner and you'll see the little button that says 3D. If I hit that, it'll give me three-dimensional view. See that? You can see the buildings in 3 dimensions. If I hit 2D, two-dimensional, it puts me back straight overhead. That's two-dimensional. It circled me around, and now I want to orient myself north and south so that north is up and south is down. Look down here in the lower right-hand corner, you'll see a little red and white arrow. That's the compass arrow. And if I click on that, it'll orient me so that north is up, south is down. Red on the arrow is north, white on the arrow is south. Okay, so here we are over the university, and you can see right here in the middle of the university is the Harold B. Lee Library, and the quad. The library extends underground underneath that quad, and that little blue square is the entrance to the library. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on Street View. Over here in the lower right-hand corner, you'll see a little man icon. That's called Pegman. If I click on it, he turns yellow, and you'll see highlighted now many streets and pathways, blue. And these are the places where I can go down and look at the campus from the street level, the ground level. If I want to just have to click on one of those. And notice also, I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. There's some little blue circles or spheres. Those are photospheres. I can get a photo inside these buildings if I want and see what the inside of the building is like in a 360-degree view. And I'm going to do that in a moment, but first let's go down. I can drag the Pegman. That's one way of getting down on the street. Just drag him over here by clicking on him and dragging him. I'm going to drag him right over here on this path near the entrance of the library and let him go. And then it'll take me down, put me right here on the campus, and then I can look around in a 360-degree view, panoramic view, and there's the entrance to the library. That's the east entrance. There's the south wing of the library there, and over there's the student center and all that. If I want to get out of street view, I just go back and I can click on Pegman again, and it'll take me back up overhead. Now, I'm going to click on Street View again by clicking on the Pegman, and now I'm going to look inside the building. Right here in the middle of this entranceway, See that little photosphere? I'm going to click on that just once. It'll take me down inside. And here I can look inside the entrance to the library. See, there's the administration building looking north. There's the west entrance. There's the south part of the building. There's the east entrance. And you'll see the stairway that goes down to the basement levels of the library. If I look over here and zoom in, my golly, look at that. There's the entrance to the Family History Library at BYU, where we're located. Okay, so that gives you an idea how things can be done. Now let me get out of that photo by going, now I can click on the peg man again, and that'll take me out, or I can go up here in the upper left-hand corner and click on the back arrow, and it'll take me back up in the sky. So that's kind of how things work when you're in Google Earth. But let me point out this really quick here while we're at it. Notice down here at the bottom margin bar right here, just point out, see down here in the lower left-hand corner, here you have the elevation of the camera. Look, 6,300 feet above the ground. Right here are the location coordinates of wherever I point on this map, or it's not a map, it's a satellite view. You can see how the location coordinates change as I move around. And then the extreme right there in the bottom right-hand corner is the elevation above sea level, 4,690 feet. And as I move around, notice how it changes. If I zoom out over the way up in the sky and look over here to the mountains to the east, the Wasatch Mountains, east of Brigham Young University. Here you can see a two-dimensional view of the mountains. If I click on 3D, I think it's even better. It's beautiful. Get a good idea how the mountains look, and notice how the elevations change as I move around. Here's Buckley Mountain, gets up over 9,000 feet in places. And there's the coordinates of that spot. So that's how that works. Okay, let's fly over though and see something different. I'm going to show you, I'd probably have to go back and get on my PowerPoint to show you an old photo of a home of my ancestors. It's a photo that I found on Family Search or in a written history a long time ago in Dry Drayton, England. Photo of my 5th great-grandparents and their daughter and son-in-law, my 4th great-grandparents in that village. What I'm going to do using Google Earth is I'm going to go over here to the search icon, and I'm going to search for, actually there it is already marked. It remembers places I've been to: Dry Drayton, Cambridgeshire, England. And it's going to fly me over there. And you see it brings up a knowledge card over here on the right. I'm going to click that off. If I clicked on it, I would get a number of photos of the village. As soon as I click on it, it puts me directly overhead in two-dimensional view. I'm going to go down, look at the village a little bit. Not very big, is it? But let's take a look at it in street view. See, what I did is a while back, I searched for in these streets to see if I could see if that home was still there. A home built in the 1700s. They lived there in the 1700s and also the early 1800s. And their photo, I have no idea when it was taken, probably late 19th century, maybe early 20th century. But I'm going to click on Pegman here, and there's the streets that I can look at in Street View. Zoom down here just a little bit. Notice this is High Street right here. After looking through these streets and going on to High Street, which is, I find, the main street in many villages, they call it High Street in England. I'm going to go down and I'm going to click right here. One click and it'll take me down on the street. And here's what it looks like on High Street in Dry Drayton, England. I can look around both sides of the streets, wherever I want, like this. I can go up and down the street. You can click on the arrows and it'll advance you a little bit or take you back a little bit. If you click out ahead of the arrow, double click, it'll let you go faster. As I was going down this street, I saw this house right here. Caught my interest because it looked a little older. And when I zoomed in on it, lo and behold, look what I found. It had a plaque on it. So I zoomed in on it and it says Pfeiffer's house. That's the names of my 5th great grandparents, William Pfeiffer and Eleanor Taylor. This is their house, built in the 1700s, still there. And if I wanted to take a photo of this, there's ways to do it. We're using this little capture view here, but you have to go into a project and do some things. The fastest way is just to do a snippet. And the same can work on Google Maps as well. Snippet works the best. I can come down here a little bit. Let's move down a bit, down the street just a little bit here. Down here a little further. Turn around, take another view of it. So, wonderful way to find places of your ancestors. Let's go somewhere else now. Let me just show you. Let's go over 6 miles away to Harleton. Actually, I may have it already there. Harleton is a small village, even smaller, also in Cambridgeshire, England. I'm going to click on that and we're going to fly over there. And here it brings up the knowledge card. And click it off. And here we are looking at Harleton, even a smaller village, dated clear back to 1086 in the records of England. Had 75 people in the 1600s, has 300 today. My web ancestors lived here for 4 generations. I couldn't find a house in this place. I'm going to click on Street View now by clicking on the pavement. There's the streets I can look at, not many. But one thing I want to point out to you is not only I can get down on the streets, but look at this right here. See that little set of blue circles? Right there is the Church of St. Mary, and there's a lot of little photos in there. And if I click on them, it'll even let me do a tour in there because they're merged together. This church dates back to the 1300s. And I can go inside and look around. Here I am inside the church, 360-degree images. Look up at the organ. Go down the aisle. These are odd objects right here, or heaters, propane heaters, I believe. I can move around and see the walls, the statues. There's the pulpit. If I click down here, it'll move me down into the room where the sacrament table is. You can even look at the plaques on the wall and zoom in on them if I want and see what they say. Probably rectors or other people they're honoring. So let's go back out of this and go somewhere else. Actually, what I want to do this time, instead of, I'm gonna click on the photosphere and get back up in the sky. But I think what I'm going to do now is I want to show you something using Google Maps, so you can see the difference. I'm going to move down, move this down a little ways. Get it moved down. Okay, here we are on a browser page. I already have Google Maps bookmarked, so I'm going to go to it. This is what happens when you go to Google Maps. You get the default map view. Okay, and if I go down to my location by hitting that little target button, there I am. There's the map of my city, my town. Now, if I look down here at the bottom and you see satellite, click on that, and there's the satellite view. Notice the other views you can get. Terrain view. That shows three-dimensional or topple lines in the map view. I'm going to go back to satellite view and click on that. Okay. Now let's go over to a place in Arizona, the Clough Ranch in Show Low, Arizona, where my grandfather, great-grandfather, and great-great-grandfather all lived together and for 3 years in 1870 when they migrated to Arizona. And I have them bookmarked here. I found this in Memories and Family Search. So I'm going to click on that and it takes me immediately there. It doesn't fly, it zooms quickly. And here I am in the satellite view. If I clicked on this little square down here, map, there's the map view. And it's still in terrain view. Click on satellite, get back to satellite view. Over here, it has photos. When you click on those, sometimes you get a series of photos of a certain place. If I did it in this case, it would take me right down on the street. But I'm going to click on Pagman down here. Notice the same little features that Google Earth has. The Google Maps website also has these. I'm going to click on Pagman. And I'm going to go down here and click on the street. And here I am on the street. If I look over here, I'm going to go down the street a ways. Turn around. If I showed you the photo, you would see that that's in my PowerPoint. You would see that this is the area right here where the Clough Ranch was. The buildings are all gone now. But you can tell by the trees in the hill. And the person who knew this had the address. This is where it was. Vacant lot today. Let me show you how you can move around here in the streets of Show Low, Arizona. I can click down quickly. There's an intersection. I can go up this road if I want. Now look over here in the lower left right-hand corner right here, this little inset. This is a map. And notice it has a Pagman right there. Pagman is showing me where I am on the map. And I can expand this map. If I expand it right there by clicking on that, it'll cover the bottom half of the screen. I can even make it less than that if I want, or more. And the upper part of the screen is the street view. Now you see the little Pagman down here on the map, and he's going to go in the direction that I go. And it'll show you on the map. So I'm going to go down this street right here, clicking, clicking, clicking. And notice how the little Pagman moves along in the direction that I go. If I want to go back, say over here, I can just click on the map and it'll take me, double click on the map, and it'll take me right back there in Street View where I was before. So that's how things can work using Google Maps. I like it a lot. If I want to get out of this view, I go up here in the left-hand corner and hit the back arrow, and there I am. So our time is starting to run out, but I want to show you one more ancestral home, this time using Google Maps. I'm going to take you to Switzerland, to my wife's grandmother's home, in Lewins. So you gotta get rid of the Arizona info, and there it is, Lewins, Switzerland, up here in the search bar. So I'm going to click on it, and here we are in Switzerland. I'm still in Street View, but I'm going to click that off by clicking the Pagman. Here's a satellite view of Lewins, Switzerland. It's near Lake Geneva. Lake Geneva is right here, a mile away. I'm going to collapse that side panel. And if I want to go into the map view, there we are. If I want to go back to satellite view, there we are. This is a very small village, very small. And so when we did Street View in this, I'll launch Street View by clicking the pigman. We went through the few little streets here. We had a photo of her grandfather's great-grandfather, the house that he built. And her mother was born in it, grandmother was born in 1881. I'm gonna go down here on this street right here by clicking on it. And it'll take me down there. And as we went down the streets and compared photos, we looked around and we saw this little house right here. There it is. Because of the hillside in the back of the photo and the trees and the vineyards, we could tell, and the shape of the house, it's changed quite a bit, modernized a bit. I'm going to turn around and go over here, and then come back and look at it that way. We could recognize this is probably the house. We're not sure, but it could be. Another telltale sign is that on the gate right here, let me get in front of this house a little bit better. Right here on the old gate right here has 1881. That's when her grandmother was born, in that house, probably this house. And that's when her great-great-grandfather may have built it. So those are the kinds of things you can do with Google Maps and Google Earth. We're in Google Maps right now, and you can go down the streets and just enjoy touring a place. I was once looking in Cambridge, the city of Cambridge, England, at Cambridge University. Many, many, many photospheres of the buildings, of the university buildings and the commercial buildings around the campus. I could probably tour the city, the University of Cambridge and the city of Cambridge better than if I were there in person. Quite frankly, that's very possible. And do it rather quickly. That's the value of Street View. There's many places all over the world that you can see Street View in, small villages, large cities, of course. I even once looked in Timbuktu in Sahara, North Africa, and by golly, they had Street View there too, and even some photospheres. The only places I found where there isn't Street View is maybe the Eskimo villages, the Inuit villages up in the Arctic and northern Canada, but even in some of their towns, they do have them up there too. So that's the kind of things you can do. There's more that we could look at. I wonder if there's any questions at all that I could entertain in the last 5 minutes or so that we have.
This is Elder Farnsworth. Would you send us a copy of your PowerPoint and we will make sure it's posted online along with the recording?
Yes.
That would be awesome. Several people have asked. That's why I said that. So
okay. Anything else?
Elder Pace, you're getting comments like amazing. Wow.
Well, you know, like I said, I've already said this is repetition, but I can probably tour places on the earth, places I haven't been, maybe better than if I were there. I'm not kidding. And the number of photos there are by the millions. Let me just show you a little demonstration here. I'd have to go back to Google Earth. I'm going to Google Earth right now. Oh, let's see. Let me go back to launch Google Earth. I must have knocked it off. Here's a really nice feature of Google Earth website. Bring it up. And if I go down in here to, wherever, I may take you back into Utah. Down to the Orem area, Provo Orem area. I'm going to go up in the sky a bit. I'm going to go over here on the left-hand panel, and I'm going to bring up settings right here, and see that little it says photos right here on the left hand. I'm going to click that on. So we get all these photo circles. See all these photo circles? There's hundreds, thousands of them that the public have taken. So if I want to look at, I don't know what, I look up here at the water tanks in Orem or in Provo Canyon. I'll just click on Canyon View Park. This is what happens. You get a set of photos, 20 photos in this case, of what Canyon View or Timpanogos Park is like, or places around it. "20 different photos." I've even been on trails, seen the same thing. Trails in the wilderness, places I haven't been able to go to. Here's Bridal Veil Falls, it looks like. See that? If you want to be a real fast tourist, boy, you can do it with Google Earth and Google Maps. And if I want to click out of this, I click up the back arrow, and there we are. See all those photos? They're all over. They're in the wilderness, they're in the cities, they're everywhere. They're in the countryside. These are photos that the public have taken. So those are some of the features of Google Earth and Google Maps, and I'm grateful to be able to show you. Hope that you will discover for yourself by exploring it, enjoying it, the many places that you can go and see. All right, thank you very much.